Hey bikers, thanks for tuning in to Bikerman. Today I'm checking out a previously unridden paved trail. Stick around to check it out. Well, bikers, another week of on and off rain means another week of wet and muddy single track mountain biking trails. So I did a little research and kind of got myself a little list of some paved trails going for the next week or two here. And today I'm out in Richardson, Texas, which is in North Dallas, and I'm riding the Renner trail. And then I connect up with the Central Trail and kind of check out some little creek areas and park areas like this one, including the Spring Creek Nature Area, which I've been to in a previous video, but is an absolutely beautiful little gem in Richardson. And so it ended up being a real nice ride. A little bit of a mixture of some covered stuff, some new areas like this one that I hadn't been to before, where I could just kind of check out some unexplored areas for me. That you can see here, the kind of rain that we've been getting. That creek went over its banks and brought all of this debris up onto this trail. It's insane the amount of water that goes down these creeks during these rain events. But nonetheless, with a little bit of planning, I was able to put together like a nice, like continuously paved trail ride. I ended up getting like between 17 and 18 miles in. And, the stuff isn't like my favorite thing to ride, but given that everything else is so muddy, that as you guys have seen previously, the roads can be kind of dangerous and hectic. It was really nice to get on something and ride something that was just safe and comfortable. And yeah, I had to pause at some lights and in little intersections like this one, make sure that I was careful with cars. But it was really nice to see the bike infrastructure as it's being built up. And some of it just is kind of like exaggerated sidewalk. But areas like this, connecting to park areas and more of a through trail, are so well designed and awesome. And there's tons of people out, like you can see those people walking back there. But even though I'd prefer, like a forest setting, it is still cool to do like an urban ride where you're riding under bridges and next to the freeway. It's exciting in its own way. So anyway, it was a great day. Nice combination of some greenery and some asphalt. And one thing that I was thinking about on this ride, I was just kind of reflecting a little bit on the last couple of weeks, because it's been a little bit harder to get out and ride. And when it's a little bit harder to get out and ride the stuff that I really want to, sometimes I have a tendency to, just do what's comfortable, which is hang out at home or do something around the house, or, maybe work a little bit more when otherwise I would have, been getting exercise. But it's the sort of the push and pull between exercise and physical health and mental health and just how you feel, how you view the world, being, your optimism. It is such a strong correlation. And yet it's so easy to forget. Like when you get in a little bit of a rut, or for me, I've been in a little bit of a rut the last couple of weeks. I've had to force myself to go ride. but it's like that inactivity makes it harder to want to go and ride. And I don't know, the older that I get, I'm in my mid-40s, the older that I get, it is both harder to exercise, but also it's more and more obvious to me how just important exercise is. And not just exercise, but diet, sleep, all of these things, these sort of physical aspects of our lives, how important they are to just like feeling good about the world. And, in my case, being a good dad and a good husband and a good worker and so on and so forth. Having the exercise and the good diet and good sleep like makes a huge difference. So anyway, that's kind of what I was thinking about on this ride, because this is normally the kind of ride that wouldn't be top of my list, and yet by the end of it, I was feeling so much better, and I instantly wanted to go on another ride. And so I don't know. I would encourage all of you guys, I'm sure we all get in that little bit of a rut, but try a new ride, try something different. If it means, getting out there and getting that body moving, because it can really make a big difference. So you'll see here that this is there's a couple of the park areas that I kind of passed through. But after this, there's another, probably 5 or 6 miles of just sort of sidewalked, bike path, which is kind of something like what I've mentioned in the past, where I feel like when they're building these new buildings or, developments, that the cities should require that bike paths and bike lanes be put in. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. And now, having actually gone out and done it, like, I could just see how convenient this would be if you lived in this area. You can connect to, apartments or homes, businesses. There are train stations. There's all, restaurants. I actually stopped off and got coffee at a great coffee spot. So anyway, this is, is it the perfect, is it my dream biking scenario? No, it's not. But you know what? Like, this is something that could, I think, exist in every place. Paved trails, going along businesses, going through, the daily slog of driving a car around or driving to and from work. This is something that could be everywhere. And another thing that I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that right up ahead here is, I think this is the first dedicated bike lane I've ever ridden in on this channel. And you can see that I'm on the wrong side of traffic here, so I'm going to cross over to the other end. But it is a gorgeous dedicated bike lane. They're in the middle of sort of building it and expanding it right here, so I cross over. But it's just this one little stretch, and there's huge roads, big roads all over the place here. So basically, as I couldn't tell. I mean, basically, it just seemed like it was the trail connecting to itself. Like, they put this bike lane in, the trail kind of temporarily stopped. There's the bike lane, and then it gets you back to where the trail continues. But I was feeling pretty important riding in the dedicated bike lane there. See, there is something cool about the urban landscape. I love the trees. I love the dirt more. And there's no doubt. I like nature. I like being outside. I like wild spaces. But there is something cool also about the urban landscape. So you can see here, look at this. This is actually between two roads. So on the right, you've got the train line, the DART line. On the other side of that, you've got businesses, another road, and then on the left, another road. So this is just kind of splitting various directions of traffic. And then a lot of this part is just kind of like weaving in and out of this elevated freeway, this elevated dart line. It was a really pleasant ride. And then up to the left here, that little house is the place that I stopped at coffee. It was absolutely packed. Great little spot. You could just, it was literally just set up like a house inside, and the iced coffee was very good. I'll put a link down below for it. I don't remember what the name of it was offhand. But great spot. And that's another thing about something that I think is really cool about riding a bike versus just driving around, is that when you're driving around, and make no mistake, we've all got to do it. There's nothing I wish that I didn't have to have a car, but most of us do. But the thing about driving around is you're kind of, at this point, kind of relying on like Google Maps or, Apple, whatever the Apple navigation, software is. But you're kind of, locked into where you are and where you're going. You don't kind of like accidentally stumble on stuff as easily as you do when you're on a bike. Yeah, you don't cover as much space on a bike. And this is kind of where the trail ended. And the timing was perfect to see the train, which was awesome. But when you're on a bike, you don't cover as much space, but you get a perspective of the space that is hard to get when you're in your car. You're locked in your car. You're separated. You don't notice the little things, the same way that you do when you're on a bike. And I probably, honestly, if I was in my car, I probably wouldn't even have realized that coffee shop was there. I just rode by. I'm like, what the heck is that? And then I rode over there and went in, got an iced coffee, and it was a great little way to cap off a great ride. So get out there and explore. Try something new. Here's a little bit more of that bike lane area. Come in the opposite direction this time. Just makes you feel a little bit safer. I'm not sure how much safer it is, but having that little buffer between you and the crazy drivers feels good. Surprisingly though, I didn't see anybody else riding in the bike lane itself, but this was kind of like in the middle of the day, so everybody might have been at work already. And then the bike lane, like I mentioned before, kind of connects back up to the trail here. Little public art display, I think it was cool. Kind of seemed a little bit like a lightning rod though. We got a lot of thunderstorms here. I was wondering about that. I just looked it up. That coffee place that I visited, it's called Staycation. Staycation Coffee. Good little spot. And they had some breakfast pastries and stuff like that too, and breakfast sandwiches. I didn't have any of that. I just got a coffee. But I could speak to the coffee. It was great. So I'm riding back here, back towards Richardson or North Richardson, back to the Spring Creek nature area. This is one of the coolest. Basically, this little like ramp or overpass or whatever starts at street level and drops down below street level. It's one of the coolest little man-made ramps I've been on. I don't know if you get a good view of it here, but it's pretty high. See up there in the distance? It's maybe, I don't know, 14 feet. Maybe it starts out at and you kind of cruise down. It'd be so nice to go on a walk there. It's cool to ride, but it would be nice to go slow and just kind of take it in. And then, so we're moving away from the Spring Creek Nature area back towards the Renner Trail now. Just kind of goes along the creek and just nice and peaceful. You can see it's like a great combo ride. Little bridge. Reminds me of like a Indiana Jones ruin or something like that. I don't know if you just noticed it, but I've got a Garmin like biking computer. Do you guys have any recommendations for those? I like Garmin. I've got a Garmin watch. I overall I'm happy with them, but I just feel like on the bike computer, basically what I want it to be is, you know, kind of like Google Maps, but it's just not very user friendly. I guess, you know, I don't want to have my phone out all the time. Like when I get lost, I want to just be able to look down and see, okay, I can go one street over and be back on my path. But I'm just not very happy with the bike computer. Do you guys have another recommendation for one? Anyway, thanks for tuning in today. If you've watched this far, I'd appreciate if you'd like and subscribe to the channel so I can make some more of these awesome videos. I appreciate you. Thank you. And I will see you out there.